Hey guys, Daniel here, welcome back to the Dan's Garage. So today I've got a wee problem with my bike. So my 27 Dr650, I'm just about to go on a wee trip soon, and about the last week I use this bike for commuting to work. Last week or so I've been hearing a squeaking and sometimes a grunting noise from the rear brakes. You can kind of hear it there. Now I thought it was probably just the rear brakes needing to strip and clean, but if you give the wheel a shake side to side, there's quite a bit of play there. So basically that just means the rear wheel bearings have collapsed. Now these are the stock original ones. I've done almost 40,000 on them. I have replaced the carrier bearing before. I did that around about 10,000 Ks. I did buy a wheel bearing kit back then when I bought that from Adventure Bike Australia. I think it was like $50 for a complete set of wheel bearings. So I do have a set of rears here in stock. Hopefully I won't need that carrier bearing, otherwise I'll have to order that. So first off we have to take the rear wheel off and then we'll look a bit further. To take the rear wheel off, check out this video up here. Right guys, so with the wheel off, I've just got some bits of wood on the ground, just so when I flip it over the brake rotor isn't sitting on the ground. Now you want to stick your finger in the wheel and give it a spin, and this one feels pretty rough. Pick it up and down, there is a sideways movement there, which will be the movement I'm feeling through the wheel. Flip it over, now there's quite a bit of graze on this side. This one feels okay. I think I might have took the seal off this and greased this at some point. This one feels fine, but we would be changing them as a set regardless. We're going to take this seal off here, so just get a screwdriver in there. Now, I'm not sure if I actually, that came out very easy. I'm not sure if I actually have another seal, so we may have to reuse this. So if you have a look in there, it is quite rusty looking. That's probably the bloody water crossing at Lee's Valley that's done that. You need a hammer and some sort of a punch. Right, so you need a punch and a hammer. So for a punch, it's got a big bit of round bar here. I think it's 10mm. You want to try and push there's a centre spacer in there. Push that to the side slightly, so you can get this down on the actual bearing, and just chap away. Chop around in a few places. That's that bearing out there. You can see the spacer came out as well. That one is really, really rusty. Right. I'm just going to clean up this mess here. I'll clean up my spacer here. So for the Dr650, there's a bit of a special way you've got to put these in, because this spacer here is actually longer than the distance between the bearings. So for the rear wheel, what you do is fully set the right hand wheel bearing. You can see inside there is like a step there, so you fully seat this bearing, the one on the right, the one with the brake disc. You fully set that all the way in there. You then put your spacer in, and then you put in the left hand bearing just till it touches the wheel bearing. Now you've got to be careful when you do this. If you try and hit it unevenly, what will happen is you'll put a side load on the bearing and cause it to prematurely wear. So you've got to have that bearing sitting flush completely against that spacer, not, if you chap it from the outside, it will damage the bearing when it hits the centre spacer. These are the bearings that I'm using, SKF Explorer bearings, and for the rear it's a 6205 bearing, both sides. 2 are SH, which means it is sealed on both sides, which is what you want. Because of the way that we've got to put these wheel bearings in, you ideally need to pull them in very gently. I don't have anything here that I can pull them in with, so what I'm going to do is, I've got the wheel bearings in the freezer. I put them in yesterday, because I knew I was going to be doing this job, and we will borrow Danny's hairdryer and we'll heat up this hub here. And with the bearings being in the freezer and this hub heated up with the hairdryer, it should near enough just fall right in. Right guys, so I'm all set up. I've got Danny's hairdryer here. An actual heat gun would be better. I've got the bearings, new bearings in this chili bin here. They have been in the freezer overnight. So like I said, the right hand side bearing we want to set all the way home first. Now when you're setting a bearing in something like this, you definitely do not want to chap the middle portion of the bearing. You want to have something on the outside. So I've got this socket here, which is a 34mm. So you want to chap around this outside edge here, because that's where the resistance is coming from the hub. Yes, this fits around there perfect, but it fits inside the hub. And you can hear that when it hits this fully seated position. This side we do have to be careful because we've got that spacer in there, and we want to chap down on the outside, but when it hits that inside spacer, we've got to be very careful, because if we still chap on the outside while we hit that inside spacer, it's going to put extra load on that inner race and prematurely wear the wheel bearing. So ideally you would have something like completely flat, that size to chap down on, but so you're touching both inner and outer races at the same time. I do not have anything, so we will just have to be a bit careful here. I'm just taking it easy here. That'll hit there. That's it. Cool. So I've got it just so I can move that, and then just one wee tap and that was it down, and that's it now, just sitting on there quite nicely. I can still move that inside spacer with my fingers, so it's not got a lot of pressure on there, but it is touching, which is what you want. That probably didn't work because I was expecting it just to actually fall right in there. Probably if you had an actual heat gun would be better than a hairdryer. And now you can also pop these those black seals off those bearings and top up the grease that's inside the wheel bearing. You can do that if you want. I generally don't, not with these decent bearings. But yeah, it wouldn't do any harm if you wanted to. And they're cheap enough, I wouldn't be worrying too much about it. So yeah, that's the wheel bearing done. We will chuck the wheel back on and check to see our side-to-side play. And there's none there whatsoever. Sweet, job done. Right guys, that was pretty simple as you've seen. You just got to watch how you put those bearings in, like I mentioned. It's a pretty straightforward job. It probably only took me maybe 20 minutes, half an hour at most. Very easy. Like I said, they were my original ones, and the bike's done 40,000 Ks now. I did change the carrier bearing at 10,000, and that's still the one that's in there. So I imagine that the ones that I've put in there are much higher quality than the stock ones, and I should probably see another 40,000-50,000 out of them back ones, easy as. SKF Explorer bearings, as I said. I'll leave links in the description where you can buy them. I will buy another set and just keep them at home for spares. Thanks for watching, hope you found this one helpful, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.